was thick with moisture, the kind of weather that usually conceals movement and dampens sound. But on this morning, it would serve another purpose. A curtain drawn over a soon-to-be battlefield. A Russian logistics convoy consisting of 14 vehicles including Ural and Kamaz transport trucks, fuel tankers, and command vehicles moved cautiously through the haze. They were en route to the staging area at Oktyabaskoye, a key node for resupplying Russian forces near Pokrovsk. Intelligence later confirmed the convoy was carrying more than just ordinary cargo. On board were over 300 troops, nearly 650,000 rounds of 45mm ammunition, 2,000 plus artillery shells, 1,900 gallons of diesel fuel, and a suite of high-value electronic warfare equipment, including R-168 comm systems and Orlan-10 surveillance drones. The operation was intended to reinforce frontline Russian battalions with fresh manpower and firepower, a mobile arsenal on wheels. With no air cover and no armored escort, the convoy relied heavily on previous electronic shielding from the Suja perimeter, now miles behind them. As they pushed deeper into Ukrainian territory, the protection faded. What they didn't know was that every wheel rotation, every heat signature, every radio ping was being silently tracked. In the sky above, a triangular formation of Ukrainian drones had already locked onto them. The kill chain was forming. The fog wasn't protection, it was the prelude. As the convoy rolled farther down Highway E38, it had already passed beyond the electronic protection zone anchored by the Suja jamming perimeter. For several miles, the convoy had been shielded by mid-range radar coverage and Lear 3 electronic warfare systems designed to scramble enemy drone signals. But now, those defenses were behind them. They were entering open terrain unguarded, unscouted, and critically vulnerable. There was no forward reconnaissance team clearing the path, no accompanying armor, no mobile air defense platforms, just 14 unescorted trucks moving through fog-covered lowlands. Assuming silence meant safety. It was a fatal miscalculation. According to intercepted Russian logistics manifests and thermal drone surveillance, the convoy was transporting a fully operational combat sustainment package, the backbone of a battalion-sized tactical group. Packed into the Ural and Kamaz trucks were over 300 rotating infantry troops, nearly 650,000 rounds of 45 times 39mm ammunition, and over 1,900 gallons of diesel fuel, essential for powering mechanized vehicles at the front. Also on board, 2,001 high-explosive 122mm artillery shells, bundled in reinforced pallets, ready to be fed into D-30 howitzers or BM-21 Grad launchers. Each shell had the potential to level a house or crater a trench line. Beyond munitions and fuel, the convoy carried high-value command and control equipment R-168 digital radio systems, Orlan-10 tactical drones, and modular Lear 3 jamming units in cold storage. These systems weren't just for communication. They were the digital spine of Russia's frontline battlefield network. The goal was clear. Deliver this arsenal to Oktyabaskoye by nightfall, redistribute it to forward units near Pokrovsk, and harden Russia's western axis. But that delivery would never happen. Ukraine had already drawn the line. Unaware that they had crossed into open hunting ground, the Russian convoy maintained its slow, methodical pace, unaware that they were already under watch. High above the tree line, at an altitude of 1,000 feet, 3 Ukrainian Mavic 3 drones from the 14th UAN Regiment maintained a wide triangular formation. Each drone carried a thermal imaging system capable of detecting heat signatures through dense fog and foliage. Visibility on the ground may have been limited to a few hundred feet, but from above, the entire 14-vehicle convoy stood out like a line of glowing coals against the cold landscape. The drones weren't just scanning, they were identifying. In under 2 minutes, the UAVs confirmed the configuration, spacing, and loadout of each vehicle in the column, distinguishing fuel tankers from command trucks, troop carriers from ammo haulers. Using infrared overlays and onboard image recognition software, they marked specific features such as antenna masts, engine hoods, and even exhaust temperatures, small details that would later guide munition strike points with surgical precision. Once the data was locked, encrypted telemetry was relayed through a low-latency battlefield network to a Ukrainian fire coordination cell stationed 18 miles southwest. This live link allowed for real-time target tracking, ensuring that the convoy's every move, every turn, pause, or acceleration was mirrored on Ukrainian screens within seconds. The drones continued to circle, orbiting silently like airborne sentinels. They adjusted altitude as needed, maintained line of sight with ground control stations, and uploaded constant heat mapping data to command staff. The kill chain was now fully active. The fog no longer concealed the Russians, it trapped them. Every detail had been mapped, every vehicle tagged. What came next was no longer reconnaissance. It was targeting. While the drones mapped every inch of the convoy from above, Ukraine's ground game was already in motion. Just under 1 mile west of Highway E38, concealed beneath thick pine canopy and overgrown underbrush, Special Forces teams from the 225th Charlie Brigade had been in position since before dawn. The terrain was perfect, damp, uneven, and cluttered with brush, providing natural cover and sound suppression. Each team had arrived in silence, exfiltrated under darkness, and gone motionless for hours, awaiting the signal. These weren't conventional infantry. These were 3 to 5 man special operations squads trained for high lethality ambush and coordinated kill zone execution. They positioned themselves in L-shaped formations, a classic asymmetric setup designed to cross intersecting lines of fire and cut off any retreat. Their role wasn't just to eliminate survivors, it was to seal the box and make sure no one got out. Each unit carried a specific tool set tailored for this operation: RPG-27 anti-tank launchers, loaded with tandem warheads capable of penetrating explosive reactive armor. These weren't just for vehicles, they were for guaranteed mobility kills. RGO fragmentation grenades, 2 per operator, built for tight area blast containment, ideal for pinning down dismounted troops and denying them cover. And, most critically, laser designators with optical enhanced targeting modules. These weren't just rangefinders, they were the ground link in a digital kill chain, transmitting precise coordinates to both overhead drones and rear-deployed HIMARS rocket batteries. Each Special Forces squad was tethered to the aerial command net, receiving drone feedback and confirming target ID in real time. Their mission: ensure no Russian asset vehicle or human made it past the kill zone. No direct engagement, unless necessary. Suppress, guide, and finalize. As the convoy crept closer, and the drones continued their orbit, the ambush perimeter locked into place. The forest wasn't just cover. It had become a loaded spring, held back by nothing but a final command. The moment was coming. The corridor had become a trap. As the Ukrainian Special Forces tightened their perimeter on the ground, a sudden spike of interference lit up the command monitors at the rear fire control station. At 6:13 a.m., one of the reconnaissance Mavic 3 drones detected a disruption in the 2.4 and 4 GHz frequency bands. Classic signs of a Russian Lear 3 electronic warfare system coming online. Mounted on a Kamaz truck deep within the convoy, the system was designed to jam drone control links, disrupt GPS guidance, and blind airborne assets by severing their comms tether. But Ukraine had anticipated this. Within seconds, the drone's onboard software activated counter-jamming protocols. First, it initiated frequency hopping spread spectrum cycling through hundreds of frequencies per second across multiple channels. This made it almost impossible for the Lear 3 system to maintain a lock on the control signal. Second, the drone's navigation shifted to IMU-based inertial guidance, relying on gyroscopes and accelerometers instead of GPS. Even in total signal denial, the drone could now maintain heading, altitude, and position tracking with less than 5 feet of deviation over a mile. And third, the system began scanning for GPS spoofing attempts, a known Russian tactic. If the drone detected inconsistencies between actual movement data and GPS feedback, such as unexpected shifts in velocity or location, it would automatically cut ties with GPS entirely and revert to internal navigation. The threshold was set at 1.5% error. Anything beyond that triggered an autonomous override. As a result, not a single Ukrainian UAV lost control. All continued orbiting, scanning, and updating coordinates in real time. The Russians had flipped on their defenses too late, and Ukraine had already adapted. The Lear 3 wasn't shutting the kill chain down. It was just confirming that the ambush was imminent. The drones didn't retreat. They evolved and kept the crosshairs locked. With the Lear 3 jamming neutralized and the kill zone locked in, The green light came from the fire control bunker. Engage. At 6:18 a.m., the first wave of FPV, first-person view, kamikaze drones launched from hidden forward positions. Operated by Ukraine's elite 413th Raid Battalion, these weren't reconnaissance tools. They were single-use precision weapons, built for speed, stability, and destruction. Each drone was equipped with a shaped charge warhead, custom firmware, and AI-assisted targeting algorithms designed to identify weak points on moving vehicles. The first drone locked onto the lead Ural transport truck, a double-cabin vehicle with thermal shielding. From nearly half a mile out, it dove at a 37 degrees angle, reaching 90 miles per hour, and punched through the hood seam with a 6-pound shaped charge, turning the engine block into molten debris. The truck veered left, skidded sideways, and caught fire instantly. Seconds later, the second drone found its mark, a Kamaz fuel tanker carrying 1,900 gallons of diesel. It struck directly beneath the reservoir's belly, igniting the tank in a fireball that stretched over 40 feet high. The explosion rattled windows a quarter-mile away and tore the entire rear section from the vehicle. The third drone honed in on the command vehicle, easily recognized by its external comms mast. It hit the right side door, the commander's usual seat, with pinpoint precision. The cabin erupted in flames, and the antenna snapped clean. Within seconds, the convoy's ability to coordinate was severed. Simultaneously, drones 4 and 5 struck 2 trailing trucks. One slammed into a munitions carrier, detonating internally and setting off a chain of secondary blasts. The other dove under the rear axle of a logistics truck, snapping the drive shaft and immobilizing the vehicle completely. In under 60 seconds, the front, center, and rear of the Russian convoy were obliterated. The formation was no longer a convoy. It was a burning corridor of broken steel and panic, and Ukraine hadn't fired a single bullet. As flames consumed the lead trucks and Russian troops began to scatter in chaos, Ukraine's 225th Charlie Brigade moved into its final phase, contain and eliminate. From concealed forest positions just under a mile from the highway, the Special Forces squads remained unseen but not inactive. With the Russian formation already shattered by the drone assault, there was no need for a traditional firefight. Instead, precise and silent suppression. At 6:18 a.m. and 35 seconds, the first RPG-27 was fired from the tree line, striking the third vehicle in the column, a Ural troop transport. The tandem warhead penetrated the armor and detonated inside the cabin. Screams echoed as soldiers were blown from the bed of the truck. Immediately, RGO fragmentation grenades were lobbed across potential escape routes. Designed for tight blast patterns and fragmentation radius up to 30 feet, the grenades detonated in clusters, forcing surviving Russian troops to remain pinned behind burning vehicles or ditch into the open, fully exposed to UAV observation. No Ukrainian soldier revealed their position. No one crossed the road. This was asymmetrical suppression, not direct engagement. The kill zone had become a trap, and the Special Forces were the last pressure point, ensuring no survivors reformed or regrouped. The ambush was not a skirmish. It was a system, one that closed with brutal efficiency. By the time the smoke began to drift upward, the Russian convoy was finished, and the Ukrainian boots that ended it had never left cover. In less than 3 minutes, the entire Russian logistics convoy was annihilated. 11 vehicles were completely incinerated, reduced to twisted steel frames and charred axles. The remaining 3 were left crippled and immobile, their engines destroyed or wheels sheared off. Over 300 Russian troops were confirmed killed or incapacitated within a 650-foot blast radius. Not a single Ukrainian soldier was injured. No sustained firefight ever took place. Highway E38, a strategic artery for Russian supply lines into Pokrovsk and Kharkiv, was rendered impassable. Recovery crews didn't arrive for hours. For the next 48 hours, artillery resupply and mechanized columns were rerouted over 45 miles, delaying frontline operations across the western sector. More than just a tactical victory, this ambush demonstrated the blueprint of modern, layered warfare. Tier 1, recon drones surveilling and identifying targets in real time. Tier 2, suicide drones delivering pinpoint strikes. Tier 3, Special Forces sealing the trap from the shadows. No head-on battles. No prolonged